Here's a question I have been getting all week. Ron, should I just wait for the Fed to cut rates before I buy? And I get it. Sounds smart, sounds patient. But this week, the math on that plan changed, and most people have not done the math. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. So let me tell you what actually happened. The Federal Reserve meets again on June 17th, and right now the market is putting the odds of a rate cut at almost zero. Inflation came in around 3.8% and is pushing toward 4%. The job market is still strong, and the forecasters who spent all of last year promising cuts, they're now quietly saying there may be no cuts at all in 2026. Some of them think the Fed is about to remove the language that even hints at cutting. Another way, the plan a lot of people were sitting on, the I'll wait for rates to drop plan, the Fed just took it off the table for now. So what does this mean for you? Let me do the math out loud because the numbers tell a story that feelings do not. Picture a $655,000 home here in Southern California. You want to buy, but you're waiting because you're hoping the rates drop somewhere around 6.75% down to maybe 6.25%. That half a percentage feels the whole game. So you wait a year for it. Here's what waiting a year actually does. Homes in our area have been climbing about 4% a year. So that same $655,000 home is now worth about $681,200. That is $26,200 more than today. You also need about $2,600 more in your down payment just to keep the same terms. Now, here's the part that stings. Let's say you get the lower rate you waited for. You borrow on the bigger number at 6.25%. Your monthly payment drops by about $49 compared to buying today at the higher rate. $49. You waited a whole year. You paid $26,200 more for the house, and you saved yourself the price of a couple pizzas each month. And that's the good version. That's the version where the rate cut actually shows up. This week, the Fed told us it might not show up at all. If rates hold or go up, you paid more for the house and you got nothing for the wait. So what does this mean for you? It means we have to separate two things that are not the same: the price of the house and the rate on the loan. You can change one of them later. You cannot change the other. Here's a line I want you to remember. You marry the house, you date the rate. If rates drop in 2 years, you refinance and keep the lower price you locked in today. But if prices climb while you wait, that higher price is permanent. You can never go back and renegotiate it. That is why I say strategy beats rate always. The person chasing a slightly lower rate is playing the game they do not control because the Fed controls it, and the Fed just showed its hand. The person with a strategy is looking at the whole picture: price, payment, equity, liquidity, the number that actually builds wealth over time. And here's where strategy gets practical. You do not have to sit around praying the Fed hands you a lower rate. There is a way to bring your rate down yourself permanently. For the life of the loan, it is called a permanent rate buy down. Instead of a temporary teaser that vanishes after a year or two, this lowers your rate for as long as you keep the loan. I rarely recommend a temporary 1 or 2 year buy down because they expire right when you have gotten used to the lower payment. The permanent buy down is a different animal. You control your rate instead of waiting on the Fed for it. You can see exactly how it works at rsrlinks.com/buydown, rsrlinks.com/buydown. Now, I'm not telling you to run out and buy a house tomorrow. That's not my job. My job is make sure that when you do act, you are acting on math, not on a headline, not on hope. For some families, waiting is the right call. For others, waiting is quietly costing them thousands of dollars while they think they're being careful. The only way to know which one is to run the numbers. Got to start with a consultation. That's why our certified buyer program is so important. Not the neighbor's numbers, not the numbers from a TV anchor, yours. So here's what I want you to do. Go to rsrlinks.com/keysteps. It's a free tool I give families to map out their budget, their next steps, and exactly what waiting versus acting looks like for your situation. Run the math for your home, your income, your goals, then you know instead of guess. Go to rsrlinks.com/keysteps because the Fed did not kill your plan. Waiting without doing the math did. And the math is something you control. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com.